Good morning. Thank you for taking the time to join us today. I think most of you know me. I'm Brian Kent from the Association of Vermont Credit Unions. We're very pleased that we have some representatives today from the Burlington Free Press here to talk about digital media. It's been a very popular subject, and we have a couple of experts with us. Our presenter today is Sarah Thomas. She's the digital director for the Burlington Free Press, who'll be doing most of the sessions. And then some of you also may know Pam Schwartz, who is the media solutions specialist from the Burlington Free Press. We're going to go ahead and get started. So in just a minute here, we're going to turn things over to Sarah Thomas. Sarah is the digital director for the Burlington Free Press. She's been in media sales since 1997, back to her native state of Vermont, with 16 years of advertising sales experience, 7 which I think were specifically in digital media. So with no further ado, we'll have things started right with you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Good morning, everybody. My quick sell. My quick sell this morning is we're not selling anything, but we'd like to start a deeper dive and digital conversation with you regarding credit unions and how the digital media landscape has changed your priorities, has created wins, has created challenges. I hope that we do get questions today. I'm not thrown by questions coming through email or in person, so please, I hope this is a conversation. Thank you. So as I said, we'll be talking a little bit about digital media and how it affects your specific category of business. Today's agenda, we'll talk about we'll talk about why we're here and who we are. I am the digital director for the Burlington Free Press, but we are part of a much larger company. We'll talk a little bit about that. We'll talk about your challenges, areas where you win. We'll talk about how the digital landscape could change your priorities. We will talk about priorities that I've learned from Brian already for the association, and then we'll also talk about consumers and give you some examples at the end of how credit unions and financial institutions have used digital marketing with my company and then outside of our company. Okay, so with that said, I'll drive. Free Press Media is your local conduit to the 12th largest media company in the United States, Gannett. And Gannett Local is our digital arm of that company. And as you can see, Gannett Local has a lot of different relationships, whether it's with Google or PointRoll or social media innovators like Blink. We are, again, that tentacle, and we give access to local partners to companies that you wouldn't normally have access to. Okay? It was really easy back in the day, and the purchase funnel was very, very linear. And again, that's why we're here today, to talk to you about those changes and ways that you're naturally ready to adapt and ways that we think you should be adapting and investing in adapting. So when we think about how to find a consumer and how to generate a lead, back in the day it was fairly simple. And now we think about the complex purchase funnel. Where did the funnel go, right? The amount of references and resources that a consumer has to make a decision now is staggering. And as a consumer, I love it. As a business person and as a marketer, it's definitely a thicker pool to wade through. So we help a lot of clients figure out what is the lower level of purchase that they're trying to target, and then how do we get ahead to the research part, to the price comparison stage, and then finally to the decision stage. And again, it's not linear. And then with social media, it changes it again, right? So we think about social media as a post relationship or a post-sale or post-conversion relationship. You can see that the funnel now spurts back out again, and we try to focus on making current customers brand advocates and quasi-sellers for our own brand and products. And social media is actually great for that, and the referral marketing platform that we would have loved to have 25 years ago. And we'll talk a little bit about social media versus the branch experience in a moment. So let's talk about what you're naturally programmed to win at as credit unions. I personally, not just for this presentation, but I've been a credit union member for 12 years. I originally became a credit union member. I had a client in Albany, New York, whose charter was changing, and I always thought it was good business to do business with my customers. So, and I've been a credit union member ever since. And here are some of the reasons why I originally chose it. You're local. That message is so clean and simple, and a message that really none of the big boxes can even compete on. And I think, again, it's how you're naturally pre-positioned to win some of the younger demographics, okay? And then when you think about your innovation or your lack of fear of adapting to the consumer you're trying to reach versus a big box. I love that about you guys. The I Belong examples. This was just a Vermont Federal Credit Union. That's my bank. That was just an email that I got about your website changing. We've got the Shred Day locally, and then we've got the Take Back Your Bank program, right? You guys are marketing digitally to a community with a message that has to do with them. And you don't have the ties to hold you back from being a little bit more innovative, but making it more relevant and personal to your community, which I love. And I feel like that's been a consistent theme for credit unions. You have longer relationships, up to 16 plus years. An average member will be a part of one credit union. That's a really long-term relationship. When we think about attention span, and we think about media, we don't think about the younger generations, millennials and Gen Y, as having really long-term loyalties to any brand. So you're positioned to really engage them, but again, we've got to actually speak to what their expectation is. You've got to serve them with technology and innovation that they're expecting from all of their vendors, right? So because these are your priorities, and what I heard Brian say earlier in the last few weeks, again, it's loan growth, right? Obviously, and then cross-selling into the household. How many products and services are they taking advantage of? And then also, how can we change the composition of your typical member? And I believe, and if anybody else, whether they're in the room or they're online, has another priority that you think is within the top three, send that over. I'd like to learn about that. With a study that was done in 2012 at the end of the year, they looked at 300 marketers who worked at a credit union. They were in a marketing job within a physical credit union. And they asked them, of the products that you're going to promote the most heavy, what are the top for the next 12 months to 24 months? And of course, they're talking about loans, checking, credit cards, etc. So again, if there's anything different within your world, I'd love to hear about it, whether it's online or offline today. So it makes sense to me that back in the day, that relationship and that cross-sell happened at the branch, right? But today it's got to happen somewhere else, and we've got a little less control in the physicality for some obvious reasons. This is a quote that I actually grabbed from the ZEB report. It was titled "The Future of Bank Branch Networks," and it was just talking about how you've removed the small, what they would call low-value transactions online, but we've forgotten about that relationship manager, right? So how do we have a relationship with our members? I mean, that's kind of the core of credit unions, isn't it? If we think, and I know you guys have seen this before, so you know that it's been a large change, right? Branch visits have changed. Media has changed. So we're all in the same boat here, but I just wanted to reinforce that if you on average have 3 physical interactions with a member in a given year, what kind of interactions digitally can you have throughout the rest of that year to fill in the gaps, okay? And build a relationship, and again, cross-sell. Does this number surprise anyone? Is it lower than you thought? Is it lower than Vermont? This is a national number, and it was a January 2012.
I guess lower than I thought, only because the change is so dramatic.
It is dramatic, but again, too, I mean, you have to forgive the graph, and I didn't build this graph. I mean, it is showing 95 to 2012, so, it's built for drama, so to speak, or built for TV, but we do know, you guys do feel that there's less interactions physically at the branch. It's okay. I mean, I can't think of many reasons I need to go to the branch, but it doesn't mean I'm avoiding it. And so it's not a negative. It's not that people are rejecting the relationship you want to build. right? It's just the convenience and the landscape of digital offers me such freedom, and naturally we're going to take that. We can't forget about the relationship manager, especially since the average age of a credit union member is 47. And again, don't let me be the credit union expert, because I'm not. But this is information that I'm learning and understanding, and I want to make sure if anybody has a new number, a better number, let me know. The one thing that I have to say about this average age is the pocket of new loan consumers is actually that 24 to 35, right? That's the sweet new pocket of demographics. So while you have loyal relationships and you do the best at it across community banks and financial institutions and credit unions, how do we get that group that fits your priorities of, one, expanding your loan portfolio, making sure that you're selling more than just an auto product to one consumer or one member? The challenge of getting a younger audience, or a younger member base is evident, right? I'm sure that there are ways, and I showed some examples earlier, ways that you are right now, this association is working to get new, younger members, and you're marketing digitally. I mean, you're making it very simple for me to understand the value of the change to the website. You're making sure that you're being an access point within the preferred medium that I choose, whether it's mobile or web or whatever. But if this audience is an active mobile audience, and you have limited push alerts to your content online, I mean, this audience is actually really looking for you guys to be their financial managers, right? I mean, and that's ironic because, the expectation, I think, has grown faster than the industry itself. And I don't know if you guys relate to that at all, but I'm not necessarily expecting you, I'm 39, to manage my bank account for me, although a 25-year-old is going to expect 3 or 4 alerts within a given month, whether it's strange activity on their account, whether it's a balance update, whether it's depositing, checks from their mobile phone, all these different types of services. Maybe it's an alert on a better product or a better interest rate or whatever it might be. They almost don't want to research it themselves. They expect if you've got a mobile app for banking online that you're going to be pushing it out to them. I see it as an opportunity. We'll talk a little bit about that in a second. So here was a question posed, and again, here's the opportunity for us with the millennials, I think. There was a question posed that said if the playing field was level, and if every bank, financial institution, whether it's community or credit union or big box, offered the same services, which ones would you prefer by generation? So what we're noticing here is that the majority are preferring credit unions, which is great for everybody here. One of the things that I noticed here that I want to bring attention to is that the millennials are kind of waffling between, right, a local community bank or a credit union, that they need to be sold on it, and that they need to be sold often, right? Almost reinforcing your value. You can't invest in a marketing campaign and make sure that you've got SEO and pay-per-click and social media and mobile marketing involved, and then do it once a quarter. I mean, it's got to be their daily experience with your mobile banking or your app or whatever it might be. It's got to be reinforced consistently for them, but made more personalized. So digital has an effect, I think, and I've got question marks here because, again, I'm not a credit union expert, so I don't want to pretend that I am, but I feel that these really should be some of your priorities in addition to loan portfolio and cross-selling and changing the age of your average member. How many e-services do you have? Are you competitive on a service level? How do you do online cross-selling? I'll show you an example later in the presentation today. And then what is your social presence? I did go online and do a bunch of research, and although I'm not going to bring everybody up and put them on the spot today on the presentation, we've got a large differential between how this association markets socially. And I'd love to have a one-on-one conversation with those that are interested to talk about social media. There are some that are doing it well, for sure. And there's an amount of time within the week that's that should be spent towards social media, but we'll talk a little bit about probably the reality of how much time is spent with social media, right? But these are the social presence and online user experience is so important, and I would add those to the top 3 priorities. I would intermingle these and not in this exact order. How many of you guys in the room here have expanded your e-services within the last 12 months? Yeah. Have you had surveys done with your members to define what e-services you might be missing or what ones you might want to invest in? Or is it just kind of an industry move? I think both. Both, yeah. One of the most interesting things that I'm uncovering here with all my research and trying to train myself for today's meeting is that there's a finicky kind of complex consumer, and I'll deny saying that about them, but most of them will drop an app or delete an app or change a bank based on what they perceive as total services and total e-services. Do you guys, you have an app that the community downloads, and you measure those downloads, right? And you see a healthy uptick. We do. Yeah, that's good. That's good. And I mean, I'm sure I love the Vermont Federal Credit Union app. It was one of the defining reasons why I chose that over another credit union locally. When you measure the downloads, are you seeing a change by time of day or day of week, or is it all around your marketing?
That's not specifically.
To you?
I don't feel comfortable answering it.
Okay, yeah, fair enough.
But we can talk about it later.
Fair enough. Fair enough. But it's an important area. It's okay to weigh yourself daily in this one respect, I feel, because it is a barometer for how useful your online or your e-services are. How many people are using your app? How many people are downloading? Are you seeing a big change after you've done the launch presentation, after you've done the launch moment, right? It's okay to look at the scale figuratively and see how you're doing that day. You want to get ahead and be proactive of, maybe there is a gap in understanding the value of your app or your e-services. Maybe there is a new opportunity to reach out to the community. And it doesn't always have to be paid opportunity to reach out to the community, right, with social media. So 48% of this younger demographic has a smartphone. We know that. Probably most of us in this room have one. I wake up to my smartphone. It's my alarm, unfortunately. I pretty much access Facebook from my smartphone, and we'll talk about how I'm right in the pocket of average. I've never really been the average Joe. I've always kind of been an outlier, but I fit right into the average usage for social media as well. But in general, which of the following methods would you prefer how your bank contacts you? Of all of these methods, only one is by mail. Right? 9% prefer some type of direct mail or physical mail. Now, with credit unions, if the average age truly for a member is 47, this might be new information to you guys because it's traditionally they're homeowners, right? Your members, so you can reach them easily through direct mail. Now, they're asking for you to communicate with them in a different way. And I bet you each have your own stats for your physical members. So again, this is national information. Which of the following functions do you want your banking app to have? This is kind of beyond the push, beyond the balance notification. They're looking for notice about irregular activity on their account, right? As much as I hate that I've got to call my credit union or my bank, right, and tell them I'm taking a trip, it's the best thing for me, and it actually is. It's a great way for them to have a relationship with me. I get to talk to a human on the other end of the phone, but I am, concerned about activity on my account as my credit union is because they care about me. Making a payment or on a loan or a bill online, sending a notice of a low balance, transferring money to accounts outside of your account, depositing a check from my mobile phone, sending automatic bill reminders, 17% other. What do you think in the room are some of the other things that they expect their online e-services to perform? Anything we haven't covered here? These are pretty standard, pretty complete. So there was another study that actually showed, and again, the study's a year old, we'll talk about some of the information. It actually showed that credit unions are ahead of the trend with social media, which is great. And so one of the terms within this research was speaking about credit unions as the front runners and early front runners, because you are local, you are member focused, right? You aren't afraid to innovate, and you do like to personalize your messages. So I mean, you're primed and perfect for social media. Although we might not be spending as much time with social media as is defined by best practice, at least you're doing it, and you're doing it more consistently than some of the bigger banks. It's worthwhile to spend, I would argue, double the time you already spend today with social media for your financial institution, because it's reached critical mass. 67%, I mean, and this has probably changed 10% since I grabbed this graphic, use Facebook, right? Adults 18 plus in the United States. 77% will buy a product or a service or talk about it at minimum if a friend has referred it, friend or family member. I really personally relate to that. I understand that they're cutting down that complex purchase funnel for me, right? 18 plus time spent with social media. 30% of all time spent is with Facebook, right? All time spent online is with Facebook from your cell phone, from your mobile. More than Google. Accessing Facebook on your phone more than you are searching, right? That's dramatic to me. Desktop continues to go down in access point for both search and for social. And as a matter of fact, we were just talking about it earlier this morning. 54% of consumers are searching from a handheld, tablet or phone, for a product or service, and that's now surpassed the percentage of people searching from a PC across Google, Yahoo, or Bing. Okay, and it's about. Well, this was interesting, and again, this is not a survey from a Vermont Association of Credit Unions, but it's a national survey. This is the amount of time on average that a credit union, not a bank, okay, a credit union is spending with social media for their business. Now, there's practically nothing worth 1 to 5 hours a week in terms of marketing, right? So if it is 1 to 5 hours a week that you're spending on social media, we should talk. Is it resources? And oftentimes a lot of people say it's resources. We do have access to what I call social media athletes, and it wouldn't be difficult for Pam or I to put you on the phone to talk about strategy with those people that have either majored in that industry, or it's simply they just do it all day, every day, right? They're well practiced. They scrimmage every single day. It's always a game day. Okay. So the most time spent eyeball-wise, attention-wise, within Facebook, of course, the news feed, and we're all used to either hiding or unhiding a company within our news feed. We had done a meeting with a large local business in the market, and they had a fairly decent social media community. It was between 2,000 and 5,000 people, fans. Yet, when we did the analysis, and again, this is something we can offer each of you and the credit unions, we actually found out their true reach was 515 people. Only 515 were actually seeing their newsfeed status updates. Right? So even if they spent 10 hours a week in social media, I mean, it's still not going to the right audience. So I like to have a diagnosis one-on-one before you buy any media, to understand what the community is already doing, and understand what kind of information is going to be more valuable to them based on their lifestyle and not your e-services or your banking products, right? Or your newest loan or the best rate. We'll have a way for you to initiate that conversation with us at the end of this meeting, and I'll give Brian the audit form as well. Okay? So that's kind of a summary of what I think your new priorities should be based on digital. Of course, it's e-services. We're talking to somebody in the room this morning about responsive design websites, of course. Making sure that you're finding new ways to be a relationship manager even when the physical touches have gone down so dramatically. For me, I believe that relevant advertising through search media and consistent lifestyle marketing through social media is a really powerful 1-2 punch. And we could talk one off, or I can answer questions. I'm now going to go into some examples of digital media that we've actually administered for credit unions, and then I'll talk about some examples just nationally. Okay? So here's an example. This is a Northeast credit union, a fairly large Northeastern credit union. So I'm going to flip through. So their objective was to make sure that they were focusing on loans and free checking. And they had a pretty decent social media following, but they did focus with us on pay-per-click advertising. And if someone wonders what pay-per-click advertising is, certainly I'll give my contact information out at the end of the meeting, and you guys can ask me, we could talk about it. But they wanted to drive lending, promote free checking, and of course reach a broader audience, but just in the physical area of their trade area, right? Not nationally. So what we put together was a pay-per-click program that actually delivered 143 leads, qualified leads based on this client, which is huge, right? I can send you 1 million page views. Are those qualified leads? Not really, right? So 143 in the first 30 days. If you're looking for a consumer who's already looking for you, it's the cheapest dollar you'll ever spend, and that's the proposition about pay-per-click advertising. It's all relevant to the consumer and what they're looking for. You don't serve an ad about free checking if they're asking about an auto loan. You serve the auto loan ad, right? That was a pretty large advertising program. This isn't, I feel like one of those weight loss people. This is not a typical result, right, for every single company. But with the right plan and with the right product and the right audience, you can achieve high return. This next credit union, I believe, is a Southeastern credit union. They're in the business 50 years, really a large developed brand. They did have a 250,000 members, which is a pretty large credit union. Is there a credit union in the Vermont Association that has that size of membership?
No.
Close to?
No.
Okay. All right. So red states here. Large group, 250,000 customers. So they had a pretty large, kind of a stadium size microphone to reach a really large group of people, to cross-sell. But also they really wanted to branch out and reach the right audience online. So we're talking a little bit about pay-per-click advertising and custom ads, text ads that were speaking to the lifestyle of that consumer itself. The biggest dramatic effect here for me is the average campaign click-through rate was almost 6 times the national average, 5.96. The average click-through rate for any pay-per-click campaign across industry is about 1%. So that was pretty dramatic. So it's not magic. It's just about serving, keeping in mind who your target is and what their lifestyle is, and then wording and messaging them in line with their lifestyle, right? So if you're trying to change the composition or the median age of your average member, you have to speak to them in their language, right? And it helps to have some of those demographics in your marketing department, as I see is represented here. Here is another example. This was an actual regional bank. They had a need to drive their social presence as well as their online visibility, and this was actually an SEO, search engine optimization, and Facebook campaign. The goal for them was to remain on the first page of Google. If 91% of all consumers do not go past the first page of any search engine ranking page, they wanted to be a part of that 91%'s decision when they're searching for products or services. They had, consistently for the 6-month program, they remained organically number one across Google for those entire 6 months, and they also had an inordinate amount of engagement to status updates within their physical Facebook page. Engagement, right? I'll give you an example of how social media has changed our world as marketing professionals. It's not just about the click anymore, right? It's not just about the program that runs a contest to say, like this ad and be entered to win. It's about liking this ad to enter to win, and then going to that actual advertiser's Facebook page and finding something worth value and clicking through and continuing, or what we call the social click, continuing that relationship. And we measure that. We don't just measure, have we brought someone to you? We measure, are they interested in you? Did we bring them, and are they qualified? Right, which is really, really important. Are they seeing your message? Are they interested in your product? And are they sharing it with others? How many of you guys track how often your posts are shared? You ever do that? Yeah. Are you surprised at how photos of cats works better than 2.9? Right? Right.
Also alerts, like a text scam or something like that.
Yeah.
Those are actually shared by far more than an enter to win or cash prize.
Yeah, I like that. So kind of like a social needs, a social good message. I like that a lot. That's a great idea for someone else I'm talking to. So we try to follow the rule of 60-20-20 when it comes to social media and status update posts. 60% of the time, the update should be about your product or service. 20% of the time, it should be selling, right? Gently selling something, alerting them that there's an opportunity for them. The other 20% should be complete frivolity. It should just be complete play and fun and entertainment. That's really why I'm online. It's really why I'm communicating with my sisters and my brother on social media. I'm sharing photos. We have a client, schoolspring.com, and they're an online teacher job board. And they had, of course, different seasons of the year for them. They'll have teachers interested in different things. Some teachers at the beginning of the year are interested in how to get supplies cheaper. At the end of the year, teachers are interested in vacation, leaving, no children, right? So one of their most popular, we managed their Facebook page, and one of their most popular photos all year throughout our entire program was a photo of this beautiful owl, and the caption underneath was day one of school. And then the next photo adjacent to it was this haggard owl barely making it, and it was the last day of school, right, for a teacher. So it resonated well with them, and it was a better way to sell their brand than talking about job boards and placement rates and all of that. So the right mix for us, when we talk whether you're a small business or a large business, is going to be social media and search marketing. This is an infographic that I found last year. I don't follow it by percentages, but it is showing that in a lead-based business like this one is, that you want to make sure you have a healthy mix of all three of those media, whether it's B2B or B2C, right? Here's an example nationally of a credit union marketing with value, a price point, and a call to action, which is still 101 for marketing. Just because we're talking about digital marketing doesn't mean that we're talking about changing up the 101s of marketing. It's supposed to be frequency, reach, and offer, right? And value. And I thought they did a really good job of trying to get refinancing for automotive loans. Younger demographics might have a bad driving record. They might have a higher interest rate. They might have some credit issues, right? So how can you reach out to them and give them a reason to work with you again and start a new relationship with them outside of just you're their loan vendor because they went to the dealership and you were the preferred vendor at the dealership to get that auto loan. Here's a different way. I thought it was kind of an interesting way to change up mortgage advertising using a license plate. Doesn't that make you think automatically it's an auto loan? Maybe I'm just a lemming, but I like that they changed it up. It made me look twice, and it's difficult to make me look twice. I'm a jaded marketer, right? And making it relevant. I mean, just simply showing an ad, it's funny. We build all these ads, and especially with traditional media, we build all these ads and we're like copywriters. But nowadays, it's just all visual, right? Keep it clean, use a lot of negative space, make sure they understand that there's an easy e-service marketed here, and make sure they know that it really is less steps and an easier process if you can do that. Staying relevant's really, really important. And again, search marketing is probably the best way to stay really, really relevant, because you're only serving me an ad that I asked for, which is great for me. This is a great online video. I'm actually going to play this video for us. If somebody could maybe play it, or do I have the remote? Yep. It's just a click right here. Got it. Sorry. I'm going to play this video. I'm going to need one more click once I get there. Hopefully everybody has sound. It's the within the graphic there's a yellow play button within the image graphic of the video. No? Maybe Pam might be able to show you where it is on his screen. When I click through to that website, the graphic itself has an orange play button. No orange play button? Have you seen it? I'm going to replay that. Sorry. So, and this is what I'm speaking of, the orange play button on the graphic. Sure. I will. So I will. I'm gonna stall this, so to speak. Here and today I'm not going to analyze anybody's marketing. I think all digital marketing is brilliant, and however much time you can spend on it, I'm happy with. One of the things that I love about this video is it gets me visually, and it's innovative, and it implies tech savvy, and it's fun and it's youthful. But as I play it one more time for us, and it's okay because actually it's a visual that I'm leading to. We want to talk about e-services, but we do talk about loan rates, and we want to talk about online banking and mobile banking, but we tend to talk about maybe some more traditional services, and that's okay because your average age of your member is 47, so we don't want to age anybody out, we don't want to alienate anybody, but let's make a couple versions of ads, right? Let's make versions that are tailored to one demographic, or maybe inclusive of all demographics, especially when your priorities continue to be to change the average composition age of your members. So, but again, I love to see digital advertising and online advertising, and as you know, you actually can measure for free, YouTube video engagement, right? There's an actual app that allows you to do that, which is great because we tend to dump a lot of video online. And it's great to serve it on your own website, but you do want to break the border of your site and reach new people. We like to help partners do that. But you can measure how many people are actually seeing that video through YouTube. How many people in this room upload video to YouTube yet? Good. Do you do it each time you have a new TV commercial, or is that what you do? Do you find that you get a referring domain click back through to your site? Does somebody come back through? Okay. You know, the YouTube videos are optimized, right? They can be found by a keyword search. So the more times that video is seen, the higher the visibility is going to be. Anybody have any questions on online digital marketing? I've shown some examples. Are there other ways that you guys market online that I haven't covered today? We don't consider email marketing online, do we? For whatever reason. But email marketing is a great way to track your traditional direct mail, right? There's probably a system that you have in place with your lead management where you'll ping certain community members throughout a year at a certain frequency through internal opt-in email marketing. And I think that that's brilliant. It's the best way to cut through the fluff for me. When I get an email from my bank, because you don't oversell me, I open it because it's my bank. I'm concerned. I'm wondering what it is. So email marketing also, although I didn't talk about it today, is a great trackable new digital marketing tool.
So Sarah, and when we have questions, if you could just summarize whatever was because only your mic is live right now.
Yes.
You made me think of a question, and that's that years ago we would advocate that credit unions send emails to their members for promotion purposes, or information purposes and whatnot. And it was always kind of hit or miss or whatnot, whether they actually did or not. But with the advent, like you were showing in the beginning, of so many people, on Facebook all the time.
Yeah.
And we didn't really talk much about Twitter, but a lot of people follow getting Twitter feeds as well.
Absolutely. And
so, have there been any studies, or do you know how financial institution customers react to email versus Facebook posts versus tweets?
I have not personally seen a study that compares those three mediums, but you every single day or every single quarter could actually have your own quasi-study. When you manage the engagement from Facebook posts and you hear what they're interested in and more importantly what they're not interested in, start making a trending graph for yourself. Start understanding. I also sometimes will ask advertisers to classify your post in three different ways. Is it an entertainment post? Is it a product post? Is it a question post? And start measuring, and it does take some data entry, how many times is somebody engaging with those posts, right? To see the trending. Tweets for financial information compared to Facebook status updates, I'm not sure. I mean, the usage alone for Facebook dwarfs the other medias, right? So it's probably skewed to Facebook, I would say, as far as comparative. It's probably be the most engagement. Email marketing to an existing opt-in database, already your members, just like Facebook, they're already your members, is always going to have a higher conversion rate, right, than brand new people that aren't a member or haven't heard of that brand. So what I would recommend, and it's a kind of a politician answer because I've never seen that comparison. I would recommend you take the same message and you do it in all three mediums within the same marketing campaign, and do it 3 times a year. And at the end of that third run, then you measure, right, when you have some data. And that's the other piece. In 95, when Steve Jobs brought out the personal computer, the older generation said, "What is this?" And the younger generation said, "What can it do?" Right? And so what it can do is collect all this data. We can learn all of this trending and buying and interest information. So measure, 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 measure is my message to everybody. And then try not to be reactionary and make changes within a 30-day measurement. Try to have some consistency. See what your members are really interested in. Just because this is kind of a classic example within my industry, within media, oftentimes we're testing, the advertising is actually testing a message and an offer. It's not really testing the medium, right? So I could have a client who runs 12 full-page ads with me a year, and 6 of those 12 will do really, really well. Right? But it's not so much the medium as it is the message. So A/B testing is huge. Measure, collect data, understand how your community is engaging with you or not, and test different ad messages. Okay. Any other questions from the group? Good.
Yeah. Although I don't want to interrupt your presentation, I can think of a couple if I'm not jumping ahead. I think probably for our credit unions here in Vermont, they probably run a little bit of a gamut. I think we have some that are fairly innovative, probably in terms of what they're doing with social media.
Absolutely.
And then some other ones that are doing some might want to do some more, and some other ones, no disrespect to anybody, that
Yep.
they know they need to make some changes, but
Yep.
they kind of need some hand-holding. So what do you typically advise for people that might need some hand-holding, need some coaching of how they can get started? How could they reach out to somebody and get a game plan together and then work with somebody like Gannett as a business partner? Any 2 or 3 steps, rules of the road that you kind of recommend?
It's a good question, and we came prepared for that question. We do have a form that will trigger us to contact you one-on-one, not selling anything again, to talk about social media specifically. Because that's one of the things that I did notice when I looked at all of the members. You'll have social fan bases of maybe 1,300, which is great. And then I did see some that maybe didn't have a social media page yet, a Facebook page, or maybe had 52 fans within that page. So I'd love to talk to you guys. And this form can be circulated through Brian. I've also brought physical handouts today to hand out to anybody in the room. And I have it as a file on a flash drive where you can just email it to your member base. Please fill out this form and send it back to Pam Swartz and myself, and we'll give you contact information at the end of this presentation. The steps would be talk to a specialist, understand how simple it is just to take one step forward, that you don't have to do it perfect, that you don't have to spend 30 hours a week on it. You don't necessarily have to hire someone specialized, although I recommend that. And that it isn't scary, it's fluid. It's fluid. So, and I know for financial institutions, black and white is the safe zone, and gray can be less of a safe zone. But social media is fluid and it breathes, which is interesting to me. So you can actually get surveys completed through social media. There can be marketing tasks that you can complete through free social media advertising, right? You can understand what the community is interested in, what kind of news they're concerned about, if they're concerned about home ownership, or if they're concerned about vacation, right? Depending.
One other question, too.
Sure.
I don't want to monopolize it. I'm almost wondering, because you had touched upon something, we have an opportunity but a little bit of a challenge, and maybe social media is a way to gap that. So in a nutshell, here's the situation that we have. A number of credit unions, including most of the credit unions that are with us today, participate in an indirect lending program, which is basically, reaching those younger buyers right at the dealership, and we're getting a loan and a share account to start off, and we'll do several hundred a month among the credit union community. But 7 out of 10 times, it's somebody who didn't have a relationship with the credit union beforehand. So in other words, we kind of opened up that gateway because the dealer said, this is a good business partner, they're local, it's a good rate, I would suggest it. And then, so it's a great opportunity coming out of the gate. We've got a younger person coming in, we've got a loan relationship, we've done something. And then it's always a little bit of a challenge of how do we take that next step? We know chances are, if it's just left alone, probably 36, 38 months, it's going to go away, because that's when the person's auto loan is going to be gone. But how could we potentially use social media to reach out and try to expand that relationship so it isn't gone in 36 or 38 months?
That's actually a really good question. It is the first thought that comes to mind is, I want to show my new car. I want to show myself and my new car. I want to have a moment with my new purchase, right? I'm not so much going to talk about the credit union, and I'm not going to talk about the auto sales group, but I am going to talk about that vehicle. So if you could find a way within your relationship with the auto dealer to make sure there's a photo moment taken, time of sale, and then get that photo back, and dress it up in some type of graphically enhanced image, and then send it to them through email. Not a blast of email to all the car buyers that month, but directly to them, maybe from your auto loan manager, that department manager, and just say, we wanted to share this moment with you. We hope you share it on Facebook, or we hope you share it socially, but encourage them to get something from you and share that moment socially. I also think that you have to be really careful not to oversell them. Don't send them something within the first 30 days about some other product that you sell. a phone call, a good old-fashioned phone call about how's the car would be amazing. Anybody remember, do your physicians ever call you and follow up on maybe they've prescribed medication or you've had some type of diagnosis? Anybody's physician ever follow back up with you? I had it happen one time. I'm still talking about it.
But our vet does all the time.
That's good. I think an unexpected follow-up within a medium that they don't expect, again, is really key way to get the younger generation engaged. I mean, I talked a lot about e-services, right? And I talked a lot about, speaking to them in their preferred medium. But if you can follow up and not sell anything, because they hate being sold, and they really hate being sold, it's got to be their idea, right? If anybody has kids, you get that. So talk to them and follow up with them in a way that they didn't expect, even if they don't pick up the phone and they screen you. Leave them a voicemail, I mean, the other piece, I'm happy to hear that you guys have strong relationships with the automotive dealers. When I talk to automotive dealers about loans, sometimes the perception can be that one institution is more expensive than the other, right? And Brian, you and I talked about the advantages, the fees, and the advantages of more or less fees, and what the perception of the public is about fees and why they extend back, to the member or not, right? So it's good to have automotive relationships because they can start to sing the praises of somebody that never considered to have a credit union before. It's another kind of grassroots movement for you guys. But I say follow up with them. Give them something to share. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, if you ask them to fan your page and post this photo, I mean, that's the start. They'll probably post it to their own page too, right? They like to hear about themselves, talk about themselves, see themselves. So this is how to contact Pam, who's our key account manager, or myself, I'm the digital director. This is our email, and just silly photos of what we really look like. So I appreciate the time today. Hopefully it wasn't terribly 101 for everybody. I know your industry has to be savvy and innovative, and I'd love to start conversations about social media. I'll circulate the audit form to everybody and to Brian electronically. Thank you for the time.
Thank you very much for coming to excellent information and hopefully very helpful for our members here today. Within a relatively short period of time, if you need to share this within your group, we'll send out the live stream link so you can view it or share it with other groups. If there's any questions or anything that comes through, certainly feel free to reach out to me. We will have the contact information for our representatives here for the Free Press in case anybody has specific questions or wants to do some coaching as we had referenced today. Otherwise, again, just want to thank the Free Press very much for taking the time to meet with us today and hope everyone has a great day and afternoon. Thank you.